The advent of music streaming services has made the task of listening to music a lot easier, a lot more convenient, or a lot more affordable for most people. With $10 a month or so, you can subscribe to a service such as Apple Music or Spotify and have unlimited access to as much music as you want to listen to at any time, anywhere. And this is, of course, has a lot of benefits. It's a lot easier to find music, a lot easier to listen to music. It's a lot cheaper. Compare it to when you would have to purchase every album that you would want to listen to at any given time. It's definitely a lot different. Now, with all that in mind, the streaming model is certainly not without its downsides. One of the biggest reasons that people rally against streaming is because it pays its artists very low. Only artists who are in the upper echelon, the richest of the rich, who are already making good money, are going to be making any money off of streaming. The artists much lower on the ladder, they're getting sold short. Another argument some have used is that it reduces people's attention spans for music. What they see is people listening to any new release that comes out every week, listening to it for a couple days, couple weeks, and once it gets old, once the next new thing comes out, they move on to the next thing, and they never form any meaningful relationships with the music that they listen to. And, I stream almost all of my music. I have a subscription, and I must say it is very convenient, very easy, but I try and be critical as well and keep in mind that there are downsides to the streaming model. Firstly, I want to emphasize just how different the musical landscape is since the advent of streaming. I did have an iPod back then during the iTunes era, and I would buy digital music. Since I was a child, I, of course, didn't buy a lot of it on my own, so I had a small selection of albums that I would listen to over and over and over. Compare it to now that I have a subscription service, I listen to dozens of new artists weekly, and it's certainly very different. And I'm grateful for streaming in the way that without streaming, I probably would not have discovered a lot of the artists that I listen to now and consider some of my favorites. But remember to keep in mind all the downsides that come with it as well. One of the biggest things is the pay. According to courts, Spotify pays artists fractions of a penny per stream. Even the biggest artists aren't making a ton of money off of streaming. Take, for example, during Christmas 2018, Mariah Carey's single All I Want for Christmas Is You was streamed about 11 million times under Spotify. And they estimate that she would only have made just over $90,000 from 11 million streams. If you ask me, that's not a lot of money for 11 million streams. And that's for an artist as big as Mariah Carey. Imagine how it is for artists much smaller than her. Young Gov, an artist I like a lot, has taken a hard stance on the downsides of streaming, stating that it's directly destroying the chances for artists like him to have careers. And he argues that people should buy physical media, vinyl, CDs instead. Another downside of streaming is some people would argue that it reduces people's attention spans. A couple years ago, Microsoft did a study that people have an attention span that lasts less than 8 seconds. Now, some people have taken the conclusion from that to be that our attention spans have been worsened by our overuse of technology. Now, that's a nuanced conversation that sadly I don't have the time to go fully in on right now, but I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that, yeah, overuse of technology can have adverse effects on people's attention spans, just as overuse of streaming services may have adverse effects on people's attention spans for music. A research by Ohio State University noted that people do not usually listen to songs if they don't immediately capture their attention, say within the first 15 seconds, first 30 seconds. And they'll skip to whatever song does catch their attention. So as a result, they noted that the long intro to songs has kind of gone away as a result. And a lot of people would say that that's to the detriment of artistic integrity if people are shortening songs, trying to make it as palatable as possible for the streaming services. And I might agree with that argument. I definitely do think that overuse of streaming can have negative effects on listeners and their attention spans. Now, streaming is a complicated thing. It certainly does have a ton of benefits, but it just has just as many downsides. And I think that we as listeners should be critical of the media that we use to listen to music. And I would say that even if we don't immediately all stop using streaming services, I think we should consider alternatives as well. And I suggest if you have an artist that you really love, that you really want to support, you should go and buy their vinyl, buy their CDs, buy their t-shirts, go to their concerts whenever you can, and show some support. Thank you.